Hey guys, Eric with Skrilla King. Today I got a sponsored video for you about an ICO called URunIt. Now, URunIt is ushering in what they call a new era in the gambling industry. And after reading over their platform, I really think they're onto something that is very different from anything that's been done before or from any of their competitors in the gambling slash crypto platform space, which you've probably heard of some of them. So what makes these guys different is they are 100% managed by the community. I mean, I guess 100% is probably actually more like 99% because at the end of the day, they are keeping the the platform running, but the actual house gambling, game running, transaction management is actually being done by you, the token holders, and the community members. So, like they say here, players control the house, host all the games, and receive most of the profits, which is really cool because, considering that for the most part, nowadays you walk into a casino with hopes and dreams and walk out crushed and he didn't really win much money, which is kind of a drag, right? So, this video is helpful in explaining what they're doing. It's 4 minutes long, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But yeah, it explains very clearly the things that we're going to talk about throughout the rest of this video. But I'm going to try and go into a little bit more detail. The idea, like I said here, is that other gambling platforms, all the money goes to the casino and you come out poor and unhappy, whereas here you play games, and when you are running the games, you're making money, and when you're playing the games, you have the potential to make money as well. So, let's go over these points here. The players control everything. Card games, poker rooms, tournaments, slot machines, lotteries, etc. are controlled by the players. Each game is hosted by a certain player. Now that's really important, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. The player determines the parameters of the game he is hosting and becomes the owner. So each game is leased to one of the players for a nominal fee. So the way that they determine that is through drawings. So the easiest way to give an owner an opportunity to own the game is to do a drawing. And the drawings are based on your average betting amounts and your rank. And so you have the opportunity to control a game if you are an active member of the community. If you want to own the game and then lease that out to somebody else, you can do that, which is what they're talking about here in point number 2. Well, no, actually, they're talking about leasing it to you. So if your name comes up in the drawing, you pay a nominal fee, like it says here, to say, yes, I will go ahead and I will run this. But you can also then lease that out, which you'll see later. Monitoring and moderation. During this lease, the owner monitors what's going on and also performs basic functions of moderating the table, for example. You get most of the profit generated during the time at your game. And then the more often the user plays and the bigger his bets, so basically if you're really active in the community, you have a higher rank. And if you have a higher rank, you're more likely to be drawn out in the daily drawings. So think of it if it's a spinner full of little balls or little raffle tickets or something, the higher rank you have, the more chances you have of being pulled out of that daily drawing raffle. So let's see, other awesome features. Oh yeah, so these were kind of unique things. So you can host the game and receive the profit. You can sell that right to other players. So let's say that you don't care really right now to host it. Maybe you don't have the time to host it. You can let other people buy that opportunity from you, which is great because if somebody thinks that they're going to make more money than they're going to pay you, then they'll be happy to buy it from you. Or you can use that as a bet or buy-in for some games. So you'll be able to bet with that. You'll be able to bet your ability to host a game. What you'll find here as you look through the platform is everything is for sale. I mean, everything can be bet with. Let's see here. Private games. You can create a game, invite people. It's only open to people who are invited. Kind of an interesting idea. You can sell your rank, or you can use it as a bet or buy-in for some games. Again, you can bet your ranking, in order to do that. Now, you'd have to really want to play that game and have to be pretty sure that you're going to win if it's a game of skill, because that your rank directly impacts your ability to host games, or your likelihood, I guess, of being chosen to host games. 70% of all URun tokens are collected by the platform will be used in daily, monthly, and weekly jackpot drawings. So if you've deposited a certain amount in the account, you are eligible, or if you have a certain rank, you're eligible for the jackpot. Just kind of like how when we do giveaways on the Discord channel, you have to be a cupbearer in order to win in one of the giveaways. Same kind of idea. Which, by the way, if you're not on our Discord channel, go to our Discord channel. You'll be glad that you did. And get involved in any of the giveaways. Watch our live streams. Chat with us there. We'd love to chat with you. Let's see here. Okay, so this is a point of controversy. I'm going to say this is kind of a controversial point for the URunIt token. I don't understand the logic behind it, and so I have a small concern about it. This is the first gambling platform with a constantly decreasing amount of tokens. So there will be, I believe, 80 million tokens in total, 60 million of which are going to be issued during the ICO. Now, the ICO is starting on May 15th, so very, very soon. And the only tokens which will be issued are going to be during that ICO. Anything that is not issued during the ICO will be redistributed, or will be distributed, I should say. They won't be burnt like in most ICOs. They'll be distributed to the people who have purchased URun tokens. So all of them will be in circulation at the beginning, except for the ones that belong to the founders and the team, which will be locked, those 20 million tokens. So 0.5% of every transaction on the platform will be burnt. So let's say that you do 100 tokens, then that would mean a half of a token will be burnt. Now, I'm not sure if the tokens can be divided. I tried to search for that in their white paper. I didn't see anything. So let's say that you do 1,000. Let's say that you your transaction bid is 1,000 tokens, which would mean 5 tokens will be burnt. Consider it as using it for fuel for transaction process and is regulated by smart contracts. It says that the number of URun tokens will constantly decrease. So that has two impacts. One is every time a token is burnt, all the other ones will become marginally more valuable, which is a good thing if you're holding the tokens. The concern I have that I'm not quite sure about is they're not going to be making any more tokens, which means every time you do a transaction, there will be fewer tokens in the system, and over the course of a long period of time, there won't be any tokens left eventually. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, there will always be some tokens left, right? There will always be a few, but eventually, the number of tokens will decrease significantly, especially if there are a significant number of people playing or making any transactions. You're going to be seeing that happening. If there are lots of small transactions or even just a few very large transactions, you're going to see a significant number of tokens being burnt. And I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work in the long run, especially because URun is wanting to get in with many different casinos, and so they could potentially be having a lot of transactions happening at any given time. Okay, constant demand, we've kind of talked about that. Limited offer because it's only during the ICO. There will be no more issues of tokens after the ICO, like I said. Jackpot drawings, we talked about that. Technical excellence, that kind of harkens to their team. And then compliance with regulations, they're just trying to get listed quickly after the ICO on exchanges. So they believe it's going to be a big thing because they have a team with years of experience, and one advisor in particular I am very impressed with because she has so much experience with casinos. All-in-one solution, that's true. We'll probably see a little graphic of that soon. This is a unique thing. It has not been done in any other casino. That's true. And then they're expecting to see many more users. And they, like they say here, they allude to an extra module, which is a commercial secret that will blow up the market, and they expect drastic growth in their number of users. Great, that's awesome. Hopefully they will allude to that a little bit more in the future to spur on sales of their token, or rather trading of their token. And then, just saying that they're experiencing overwhelming interest in the platform. Okay, giveaway. Oh yeah, their bounty. Let's jump over and look at their bounty real quick. So their bounty is 2 million tokens, and it's a pretty standard bounty where you can use signatures in your signature, their translation, you doing things on YouTube, blogs, and media, Twitter, Facebook, and Telegram/ambassadors. And so they have this whole thing here on Bitcointalk that has all these different all the different rules for whether it's a translation or signatures, Facebook campaign, Telegram campaign, all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested in getting involved in that, there's $1.5 million worth of tokens that are up for grabs there, and the program will run until the end of ICO sales, which I think we ought to be coming to that sometime soon. Maybe I passed it earlier. Yeah, so the pre-sale is going on right now and will last for the 50% bonus will last for 15 more days. Well, almost 15 days, just under 15 days left, right? Let me scroll back down to where we just were. Here's their roadmap. We are Q2, here we are. Pre-ICO in the ICO stages, Q2, Q3. They'll have the emission and getting onto the major crypto exchanges, followed by licensing, and then they're talking about the beta version of the platform of Q1 of next year, and Q2, so about this time next year, having the release to the European market. Now, it's interesting, I didn't know, they have a pretty nice market analysis section of their white paper, where they point out that the European gambling market, online gambling market, is the largest by a significant margin over anyone else. So here we are in 2018, 24.75 billion US dollars are spent in Europe on online gambling, followed by 14.12 billion in Middle East and Asia, 8.66 in North America, and then the rest of the world occupying $4.4 billion of online gambling. So it's going to be rolled out, according to their roadmap, going to be rolled out in Europe first, and then they will roll it out elsewhere following that one. Okay, platform development. They just have some screenshots, to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at. It's visually appealing for sure. Which is good. They have an accomplished, and their other advisor is an accomplished UI UX developer from Hewlett Packard. Okay, so these are the various modules that it mentioned. They have tons of them. They've got their software development kit and API, which is awesome, as well as banking module, security modules, analytics management modules. There's a lot to it so that it can be implemented. I don't know that it would, I don't know, I've never set up my own online casino, but it seems like a fairly ready, out-of-the-box kind of setup that they have here. It's rather than just being kind of a one-dimensional thing. It's very well-rounded, so I like that. These are some things we've kind of already talked about: exchanges, ranks, jackpots, demand increase, leadership. Okay, so let's take a quick look at their team. Here is their CEO. He is the co-founder and CEO here, and then he's just kind of been the business owner, CTO, and then software developer, software engineer for a few years earlier in the early 2000s. And then this is their co-founder and CMO. And he has been, basically he's a web projects, internet projects, web platform development, and then marketing communications. So, another software engineer type. And then lastly, the one I wanted to look at is this woman, Victoria Neiser, I'm not sure how you say her name, but she's a casino controller at Eureka Casino Hotel in Mesquite, Nevada. And they point out that she has quite a bit of experience with gaming in general and gambling, and saying here over 12 years of experience in major USA casinos and a comprehensive knowledge of casino operation, as well as a senior graphic user interface designer, communication and product designer at Hewlett Packard as another advisor. So they seem to have a pretty solid founding staff as well. They have quite a fairly large team for whatever that's worth. It seems like a fairly standard team setup to me. Let's see here. We already kind of talked about the token sale, the amount. Okay, so they have the closed pre-sale is going from now until June 15th. So that's what's going on there. And then the pre-ICO from July 15th to August 15th, with their ICO running through from the middle of September through the middle of October, and the corresponding bonuses. Now, this is another part that is interesting, could be potentially lucrative for you, or could be a potential liability for URunIt. I'm not sure. It's all going to kind of depend on how things shake out. So unsold tokens will be distributed proportionally to those who bought tokens during the pre-sale and ICO stages. What that means is, if 45 out of 60,000 tokens right here sell, then the other 15 million tokens will be distributed proportionally to everybody who bought here. Which means that the people who buy early and get the 50% bonus with a minimum transaction amount of 2 Ethereum are going to, let's say they have 2 Ethereum. 1 Ethereum is worth 800 tokens, which means they'll have a minimum of 1,600 tokens plus a 50% bonus, so that should put them at 2,400 tokens. And so having a minimum of 2,400 tokens means they are very likely going to be a whale in the URunIt platform, which is not necessarily a problem. If you can get in, and you can get in early enough to get a nice 20% bonus or a 10% or 5% bonus or whatever, then you could have a nice amount there for you, which will help increase your ability to bet more and to rank, and then to get into the position of running the tables so that you can make profits off of the game that you're able to host. That said, it could be that a few people will end up owning a very large proportion of the tokens, and then they will generally be hosting it rather than feeling like it's a little bit more evenly distributed among the community. So I'm a little concerned about that, just because, anytime I see an opportunity to create whales within a small ecosystem like this, I just worry a little bit that it's not going to end up being the decentralized casino experience that people are really looking for. That said, URunIt could totally have that figured out and could totally be handling it. I just haven't been able to understand if that's not going to be, perhaps that's not even an issue, and I just haven't really realized it. So then they're talking about the distribution, no pump and dump. They have tokens being frozen for 1 and 2 years for the team and founders respectively. I highly recommend their white paper. Is good. It has a lot of information within it, so some nice market research and stuff like that. But I actually really like their one page paper here. So if you are interested in getting involved with the URunIt platform, definitely go over their website, go over their white paper. But their one pager here is really a very nice explanation of a lot of the things that you and I have been talking about here. So that is, in a nutshell, the URunIt platform. It is, like they say, the only gambling platform 100% managed by its community. Very cool. So let's take a look at the Lambo rating and see how I think they're gonna fare. Overall, their concept, I gave them 3.5 Lambos. It's a good concept with the 100% ownership. Like I said, I'm just not sure how that's going to shake out with the potential to create not trade whales, but casino whales, basically, a boss in the casino. But still, 3.5 Lambos, definitely a good concept. Team, I gave them 3.25 Lambos. It's a fine team. I am impressed particularly by the one casino advisor. Hopefully she's heavily involved. The others don't seem to have a lot of really obvious connection to the gaming industry, which might have put them up into the 4.5 range or so. But 3.5, they're fine. Or 3.25. I mean, that's a fine team score. Potential, again, I gave them 3.5. They could, because my concern for the potential is the token burning. I'm not sure. Like there's this huge potential with 100% run by the community, huge potential for growth and interest. My one little concern is like, well, if you're always burning tokens, what's that going to look like in the long term? In the long term perspective for URunIt, how is that going to shake out? But they did allude to a new module that they'll be adding that they expect will bring in a lot of users, and so who knows, that could have a very interesting impact in the long run for URunIt. So overall, I gave them a 3.4 out of 5 Lambos. I think that URunIt is a very interesting platform. I'm looking forward to seeing how their ICO goes and how quickly they hit their soft cap and potentially their hard cap. I'd love to know what you think about it. Comment below. If you're into online gambling, what do you like to gamble on? Are you interested in getting involved in URunIt? Comment below, join us in Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.